I've got this thing that I'm fiddling with.
When you was recording the original album of Tommy in the studio, Kit produced the screenplay for a possible film. Did you at that stage think it was a possible film project?
We didn't even think it was a possible album while we were recording it. It was kind of doing the drawing as we were going. Well, that's what it felt like for me, being the singer anyway. But I think he produced. I can't remember whether he produced the script at the end of the thing. So, but no, I mean, film was too big a conception to me at the time. Those days we were just happy to get to the end of the week and still be a band.
So when did you first get to hear about Ken Russell's interest in the project?
That was 1973, and it was around about May, and I was asked to go and see him. I said, "What for?" He said, "Well, he's talking about making a movie of Tommy." And I went to see him, and he said, "I want to make a movie of Tommy, and I want you to play Tommy." And I went, "Oh, you think I can do it?" Because I was no movie actor. And he said, "Of course you can, dear boy, of course you can." So that was it. I know it was an honour to meet him, because I was a huge fan. I mean, he was, one of those directors that was dangerous, which seemed to be well suited to the Who at the time.
Do you think he was the best choice for director?
Certainly. I mean, I think there would have been other good directors, but I think there would have been other totally different Tommies, which is not a bad thing in itself. But like I say, Ken gave Tommy the film, and kind of gave it an edge. It was MTV. How many years before it started? It was MTV. I mean, he actually filmed it sort of 7-8 years before it hit the screens, and it was showing what you can do with pop and rock on film.
Obviously, it was your first acting job. How daunting was it to know that you was going to be working with Ken?
Well, the first week was kind of terrifying, because I didn't know anything about this acting lark. I thought, oh dear, what do I do? And of course, looking back on it, I just took it all from the lyrics. Just took, stands like a statue. I mean, I just played it all internally, and not knowing anything about film, it kind of worked, because now knowing something about film film is incredibly interesting, because it reads the back of the brain, and it's all in the eyes. It's all about thinking. You don't even have to say it. If you think it, it will be there. And so what I was doing was exactly right for the part. It was terrifying, I must say. The first week, especially. I mean, I think my first scene was with Paul Nicholas in Uncle Ernie, ironing me on the ironing board, whacking me in the back of the head with the iron, which was fun. And then the next day it was Ken having fun with his fire hose, and I haven't recovered from that yet, because he broke the ice on the lake. They had a fire truck there for the pump, and this fire hose, which in the film it looks like Cousin Kevin's using it, but actually it was Ken Russell on the other end of that hose, and he seemed to get incredible enjoyment out of watching me get absolutely pummeled to death. I mean, but I didn't have a bit of my backside of my body that wasn't bruised after that. It was incredible. It was but you think he's such a sadistic bastard, you just don't want to give in to him. So I was indoctrinated the hard way, and I kind of learnt from Oliver Reed, who right at the end of the film, if you watch, he's laying in a puddle in the scrapyard. Well, when we shot that puddle, I've got to tell you, was probably 10, 20 times the size, and Ollie had laid there all day by the time we actually got to shoot the shot that they used. And he said, "I'll lay here till I'm dead." He said, "He won't beat me." So that was how we did it.
Were you always the first choice to play the title role, or did you have to audition against others?
No, I don't know how it happened. All I know is I was asked to go and see him, and he asked me to do it. I don't know. You'd have to ask Ken that.
So was you the first actor on board for the movie?
I don't know.
Oh, right.
I don't know anything about it. I know nothing, governor.
What was your initial reactions when you heard some of the other names that had been cast?
Interesting. I was only aware of Anne Margaret from the Viva Las Vegas film, which was kind of weird because although I was kind of an Elvis fan, I mean, you could not dislike Elvis. I disliked a lot of the work he was doing at the time. But as it turned out, she just turned out to be a real treasure. And I mean, the performance she put together there was extraordinary. I mean, especially as you thinking back on it, they recorded all the backing tracks pre the filming. So all that stuff with putting on a lipstick and all that stuff, she had the whole character completely plotted in her brain what she was going to do, it's an incredible piece of work. I'm surprised she didn't get more awards for that work at the time, but sadly she didn't, but she deserved them.
How difficult was it to adapt to the rigours of filming compared to being on stage with The Who? I would imagine, for example, the working hours must have been a lot different.
Well, the rigours were actually getting up in the morning. That was the main rigour, but the rest of it was great fun. I mean, it was great discipline. It was great being part of a family. I really enjoyed that, and in that sense, it was very much like a band. You formed a close-knit group of people, where everybody had their function, and when it was working, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I hated the end of it where everybody split up and disappeared. That was horrible. Maybe that's why I hang on to The Who so much.
I can imagine that having both Keith Moon and Oliver Reed on the set must have been both hilarious, but also quite frustrating at times.
It was never frustrating. No, it was always hilarious. And believe it or not, Keith was incredibly on top of his game. I mean, the only trouble was he'd turn up 3 days early for for his shoot. He was so enthusiastic. I mean, he was totally on his game. He was incredible, and he just kept everybody entertained. It was a joy. Ollie was an absolute gentleman. I mean, I was absolutely surprised at how professional he was. That's the only way you can say it. I mean, he was totally professional. But there were lots of shenanigans going on with him and Moon in the dressing room. All kinds of sexual toys would be coming out the back of his rolls and disappearing into the dressing room. And I thought, what the hell are they up to in there? And there would be various ladies of the town disappearing in there throughout the day. It was quite entertaining, actually. But he was totally professional. That's all you can say. And again, he had that whole performance mapped out in his head because he laid the vocal track down beforehand, and it's just magic to see the way they put that together. What an exercise in acting.
Well, Pete said that with Ollie they had to do it basically word for word. Ollie would sing a line, they'd cut, rewind, he'd sing another line, cut, rewind. Yeah. Said, but as soon as they come to filming, it was totally professional, as you say. You got it totally off first time.
Oh yeah, totally. It was always extraordinary. But I wasn't. Thank God I wasn't there when he recorded.
What was it like working with Jack Nicholson?
Jack was just a gentleman, and Margaret was obviously in love. But I had two bloody things on my eyes. I couldn't see him. I mean, through the whole day. I mean, he's only on the whole. Oh God, he was only on the.
It's just down by the lake.
He was only on the set for a day. That's all we could afford him for. And I basically said, "Oh, hello, Jack. I'm going to chat." And goodbye, Jack. For the whole day, I didn't see him because I had two half ping pong balls on my eyes with wires coming out. Stupid idea is that. So I missed all the shenanigans. But he was fun. He was fun. I mean, that wicked humour of his and that grin.
What about Tina Turner?
Tina's just Tina. I mean, what can you say about Tina that hasn't been said? Nothing. She was, again, on the ball, on the money, and you couldn't have got a better acid queen. Energy. Ooh.
Yeah, we talked to Pete last week about his original idea for the Acid Queen, which he threw in Lou Reed as a possible, and also Tiny Tim as Pinball Wizard. I mean, but I think even he realises that it wouldn't have worked out.
No, I don't. Well, it would have been interesting. Tiny Tim as the Pinball Wizard.
Yeah, he's often said he heard it with 100 ukuleles.
Oh well. Thank God it didn't happen.
You seem to have gone through a lot of pain making the movie, lots of cuts and burns. How physically demanding was it?
It was very. It was incredibly demanding physically. Loads of things. I mean, mostly because I wasn't wearing any clothes most of the time. I mean, I did hang gliding with just a pair of jeans on. I must have been mad. Not that a crash helmet would do you any good from 400 feet, but landing in a field of thistles with no shoes on wasn't much fun, I'll tell you.
And you did all the stunts yourself on it?
Well, I didn't. The only thing I didn't do was the leap off the tower with a hang glider. And I hadn't done any hang gliding at that time. I only did it at the end of the film. They wouldn't let me go up. I would have done it, but I mean, they wouldn't let me do it because of the insurance. And as it turned out, I could see why. Because my second time up, I mean, the first time they kind of take you up about 5 feet, they put you very low down on this hill, so you just run along, and it just lifts your feet off the ground. They just do it to see whether you kind of have an aptitude for it. Well, the second time, they said, well, we'll put you a bit further up the hill. They put me 10 feet up the hill, expecting me to come off the ground at about sort of 10 feet, which you can survive, yeah? And I caught an updraft, and the next thing I know, I was 300 foot in the air, thinking, what do I do now? So it was just suck it and see, and I touched wood, I was all right.
Then, of course, you also had the hardship of having Anne Margaret playing your mother.
That was incredibly difficult. So anybody who tells me it wasn't acting, we've just got to think about that. Having Anne Margaret as your mother when you're a very hot-blooded, testosterone rock singer of 29 years old, it was a very tall order. Going to work every day and looking at her every day as mum. And I thought, I kept having to remind myself, you're deaf, dumb and blind, you twat. Put it out of your brain.
The heavy workload of the film seemed to have had a particular effect on Pete Townsend, and he's already said that it affected his relationship within The Who. Did you feel the movie had any detrimental effects on the band?
I don't know whether it affected his... I don't know whether it was that the movie did it. I think it was just a lack of communication. We were never informed, and it's always... Everything that appears to be a detriment to relationships is usually just lack of communication. We were never informed that Pete was going to be doing this, and we were going to be doing that, and we were going to have to be sitting on our asses for 9 months of the year, which was difficult at the time. But I don't think ultimately it soured any relationships, no. I think it soured his relationship because he got very heavily involved in boozing. I think that's where it really started to kick in big time. Understandably, he was under a lot of pressure. And of course, I mean, thinking back on it, I mean, at the time we were very grandiose, and it was being done in quadraphonic sound, which had to make life difficult for yourself.
You won a New Star of the Year award for the movie, an award that had previously been won by Paul Newman.
Did I?
Yeah, the ABC Interstate Theatre.
Oh, really?
In the States, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's an award won by Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, amongst others. How did that feel?
Well, I don't even remember what it is. Oh, well, it must have felt all right. I suppose it did. I'm sure it did. I mean, it is nice to get awards. I can't say it isn't. I'm sure no one goes out to do their work just to win an award, but it's nice that people notice you and you've done good work.
What are your favourite memories from filming the movie? Favourite
memories from the movie? A couple of days with Elton John. That was good. That was good fun. We went to a boys' club one night after shooting. That was good fun. Going to snooker with a load of kids, a load of yobs from Portsmouth. Other things. Introduction to the Lake District, which was beautiful, and learnt to hang glide. loads of other memories, which was I remain quiet about. And introduction to the film world, which I to this day I just absolutely adore. I mean, I just love the whole genre.
What was your view of the movie when you first saw it finished?
I thought it was really good until I came in. That's true. I really did. I just thought, oh God, Daltrey, you've screwed this one up.
Why?
I don't know. I just found it. I still do. I mean, I don't know many actors that like watching themselves and can be objective about it. I mean, I think they do it more today. I mean, it's a bit like singers that like their own voice. I don't know many that do. I still hate my voice today. I mean, I hear it, oh God. But very difficult to be objective about it.
And what about today, 30 years on from making it? How do you view it now?
I haven't seen it for a while. I just great fondness. I mean, it was amazing, really, that we ever got it made, and I think that's the triumph of this film, that we got it made, and it was a huge success. I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know what it grossed in the end. I know at the time, I think it was something like $60 million. Well, if you imagine what it cost to go to the cinema then, and it was a limited release. It wasn't a blanket release over every cinema because of the sound systems. I think you could multiply. That would be up in the 500, 700, $800 million films today. So I mean, you can only be proud of it. I'd just like to know what happened to the money, because we didn't see a lot of it. Well, I mean, it was Robert Stigwood, so I suppose you expect it. Anyone who lives on a boat, they're doing it for a reason.
You worked with Ken again on Listomania. How was that?
I was so in love with film. I thought, well, God, and Ken Russell's asking me to do another film. I just thought I had to do it, but I needed help. And not knowing anything still about acting. I mean, Tommy was easy for me because it was music. I knew where I was, but God, when I got into Listomania, I thought, God, I'm over my head this time. And I was hoping for Ken to throw me a lifeline, but he's not an actor's director. But I love him. I still love him. I mean, he's a genius, and it just it kind of frustrates me that he's kind of pushed to one side in today's world when he was so far ahead of the whole game and has still got so much to offer. But I suppose that's the price of being a genius. I don't know. I'm just glad I worked with him, and I still love him to this day.
Would you work with Ken Russell again?
Anytime. I work for him for free. I've told him that. He still can't afford me.
You'd have to pay him.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks, Rog.